Hi guys. So I wanted to come and do a video and tell you about a video I watched the other night with my family from this young pastor out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. His name is Todd, and he was talking about crazy faith. I'm going to have a link in the description box for first a snippet from the hour-long video so you can just get an idea of, where he's going, what he's talking about. I think the snippet is like maybe 2 minutes, I think. Could be longer, I'm not sure. But it's not long. But then I do encourage you to watch the full video to get, you can get an idea from the snippet, but man, if there ever was a video that I would want anyone to watch, it would be this video. Just simply because, faith. We have to have faith. The Bible tells us without faith, it is impossible to please the Lord. So, yeah, he's talking about crazy faith, and he does actually a 6-part series. I've only watched 2. I'm going to finish them. But the 2 that I've already seen thus far, man, good gracious. It is an awesome word. He is sharing a testimony that he actually went through. So that makes it even more powerful. So yeah, I'm going to link the snippet in the description box, and then I'm also going to have the full video. And of course, when it takes you to the video, once you click on the link, then you'll be able to probably see the continuation of all the other videos. So yeah, he's talking about crazy faith. We know in Hebrews 11:1, the word tells us, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And I don't want to just take away from it, but I'm just going to give you a little snippet from my own self and say, he said a lot of people have faith, but they don't put their weight on it. Yeah, so you have faith, you know what God can do, but yet you don't put your weight on it. You don't trust him in it. You know he can do it, but you're not allowing him to do it. So, I just wanted to also share, a quick little, it's not really a testimony. Well, I guess you could probably view it as a testimony. But just kind of a little bit of my story, just to maybe, offer some help and encouragement to someone else. So I'm going to try to do this quickly as I can so as not to prolong the video. But I also want to, at the same time, take my time, not just take my time, but because I don't want you to miss anything, because I think it all will just add up to the full picture of what I'm trying to say. So a little bit about my story. So we're going to go to the beginning of my first job. My first job, I was working as a waitress for my uncle in a small town. And so I worked there, after high school. I was 18. And after, that job, I kind of wanted to branch out a little bit more, which landed me to Whataburger, kind of because some of my other family members had started working there, so I just kind of followed in suit. Basically, I was trying to just store up some money because at this time in my life, the career mindset that I had, I was trying to be a model. Yeah. So I was just trying to, get some funds together to build my portfolio and stuff like that. So we worked at Whataburger for a little bit, and then that job caused me to, well, I won't say caused me. I chose to move out of town because I had gotten really good friends with the manager there. She may have been the assistant manager, but I had gotten friends with her, so she got transferred to a different location, and she wanted me to come with her so I could be a crew leader, team leader, and so, I did. So that, moved us to a different town, not state, but town, and so I was there for a bit, but, as I was there, that just kind of just started to fizzle. It wasn't turning out, the way that I had anticipated it to turn out. So I found myself back in my own hometown. So, I'm still trying to pursue my modeling career. I went to some modeling school and stuff. I did actually, get a portfolio built and all that stuff. But that was very expensive to try to pursue that. And the jobs I was working was just not going to be able to fund that. And then also, it was a job where, it's not a sure thing. So while I was trying to get all that situated, I felt like, okay, I need something really more stable, So there was a job that came up with the local newspaper in my town. And so I went and applied for it. I was gonna say I don't know why I did, but one of a guy that I used to date worked there a while ago before I got there. But he worked there a while ago, so I think that's when I saw actually it's funny. So I thought I saw the help wanted, but it really wasn't a help wanted. It was it wasn't a fake advertisement, but it wasn't real. It was just something. It wasn't like they were really looking for help, but I took what I saw as that. And so I was misled by what I saw, but yet I went in to go and say, hey, I come to, interview for this job or whatever. And the next thing I knew, I was, sitting with the manager of sales, and he was asking me, any experience and all that stuff. And of course, I told him my background, so no, I didn't have any experience in sales or whatever. But what he had did was he got a hold of the guy, because I mentioned him as a reference, the guy that I used to date. I mentioned him as a reference. And so when the man that interviewed me, that became my future boss, when he interviewed me, the guy that interviewed me, called the guy that I used to date, and so he got an awesome reference from me. I think one of the things that stood out that he told the guy was, she may not know it now, but if you hire her, once she get it, she'll be better than anyone else. Now, those aren't my words. Neither am I bragging on myself. That's just what this man that, was telling me that this guy said about me. So, long story short, I got the job. So, I started as a sales representative there back in July of 1989, sales rep. So I was going to the businesses in town selling advertisement to get you to advertise in the newspaper. So I did that for a while, and then a life-changing event happened. I got pregnant with my first child, my son, and so I could no longer, do the, go door to, not say door to door, but the sales thing. So they gave me I did a transition where they pulled me out of sales and brought me up to the front desk. So I transitioned from sales representative, going out and selling advertisement, to now working as at the front as pretty much like a receptionist slash secretary type of thing. So I was doing that, and I was not fulfilled in that, because for one, I was so used to being able to get out and move around, whereas I was confined at a desk, and I just didn't get the freedom that I enjoyed having when I was a sales rep, and I could go out and kind of set my own pace and stuff. So I got bored with that quickly. I did it for a little bit, but not too long. So I kept going. When I would have my breaks and stuff, I kept going to the area where they would, work on the computer to design ads and stuff. And that became fascinating to me as I would watch them and observe them. And I wanted to do that. So I had mentioned to the girl, we became good friends, one of the girls that was a graphic designer back there. And then she said, well, I'll talk to, the manager, or talk to, her boss, I guess. Because each position had its own type of manager. So she talked to him, and they agreed that, yeah, she can come and, kind of, work with you and stuff. So I began to do that, and I got good at it. The next thing I know, my next position was graphic designer. So now I'm a graphic designer. So I'm going to speed this process on along, because I can see where it can get long pretty quick, because I'm not even close really to where I'm really trying to get to. So I'm a graphic designer, and as I said, long story short, I did graphic design. Well, the whole consistency of me being at the newspaper was a span of 20 years. I worked there from July of 1989 to April. Yeah, I think it's April. I think April was my last month, at the end of April of 2009. So pretty much we're just going to say, I know I didn't make it to July, April, May, June, July. We're talking 2 months shy, but we're just going to say 19 plus 20 years. So 20 years I was with this company, and I just felt like somewhere around the end of that time period, I went through a lot there. I got sick there. I got sick with, and I'll have to mention this or speak on this in another video, but I got sick with GBS, which is Guillain-Barré syndrome, back in 2000. But anyway, a lot of things happened. I went through a lot of things at that job, but it was time to move on, and I knew it was time to move on. So I went part-time, because I'm like, okay, what I'm dealing with at this job is, beginning to rob me of my, I won't say sanity, but it just wasn't, I think it was just time for a change, to be honest. So I was working part-time, and when I was going to be, after I worked part-time a little bit, I was like, you know what, I just need to cut the ties altogether. I'm ready to just go on to the next chapter. I didn't know what the next chapter was, but I was ready to go on to the next chapter. By this time, the modeling thing was out the door, because, like I said, that just wasn't a sure thing, and, yeah. I was 18 now back then, so you'd be like, why would you want to be a model? You wouldn't. But anyway, so yeah, so let me get a sip of my coffee. All right, so come time to leave, and I had put in my notice. I gave a 2-week notice, and so the manager, my boss, which I've seen, we went through different bosses. I think I went through at least 4 total managers that ran. I think it's 4. But anyway, so yeah, I've seen a lot of things going on and stuff. It's a history there. And why wouldn't it be? I mean, 20 years? Yeah, of course it would be. So yeah, when it came time to, after the 2 weeks was about to end, my boss at the time, he was trying to get me to stay, and he was trying to offer me, incentives to stay. But by this time I was like, no, I'm just really ready to go. So I left, not really knowing what I was going to do. And when I left, it almost seemed like he was saying something like, all right, where are you going to go and make the money that you're making here? It's kind of like, are you sure? But, I was just like, yeah, I'm ready. So I don't know what he could have offered, to be honest, because it's almost like once you get to the end of a chapter in a book, you're ready to go to the next chapter, aren't you? You're ready to see what's on the next page, what's before you, what's next. So that's basically where I was at. So here we are after 20 years of being with that newspaper now, and that's my history. Sales rep, graphics designer. The majority of that time was being a graphic designer. So I was like, okay, so what am I gonna do now? So in the meanwhile, I was trying to figure out, because I didn't have a career mindset, or I didn't have in mind what my career was going to be. So, well, actually, because I got sick in 2000. And after 2000, I still stayed with the paper, obviously, because I didn't leave there to 2009. So, yeah. So I got sick in 2000. So I didn't really, still, after I left there, didn't have an idea really what I wanted to do. But, yeah, no, I didn't. So after I left there, I had to get a job, because, we still needed to make ends meet and stuff. And I was married by this time. I got married in 2007, December 13th, 2007. Yeah. So I was married by this time. So, just to get something really quick, and because, my experience, aside from the newspaper, was in the service of food or whatever, I gravitated back to food. And I, went to go do an interview at Chick-fil-A. But then there was also a job opening position at a Goodwill store where you were, yeah, just at the Goodwill store. I think a cashier. So I had those two. I went to apply for the Chick-fil-A. I went to apply for, well, it is Chick-fil-A, isn't it? Yeah, I was thinking I was calling it the name of a sandwich, but it's actually Chick-fil-A. So I went to apply for that job. I went to that interview, but then I did that interview first. And then after that, I saw that job for Goodwill. So I'm like, oh, I think I'd rather do that. But then the more I was thinking about it, I'm like, cashier, I'm not really good at math. I may mess up and not give people's money back right. But then I said, oh, but they got registers where it tells you what to give back. So I'll know. Because, I'm like, yeah, math is not my forte. I get by. And anyway, we'll just leave that at that. So I was hesitant of that only because I was thinking of the math and how that might, I'm going to mess it up, or my drawer going to be short every night, yada, yada, yada. So I was hearing those voices, but then I was like, but I really would rather do that than go back in the food service. So I got the call that I was, hired for, the Chick-fil-A. And I was like, okay. And then I also got a call. I think I got the Chick-fil-A call first. But then I got a call also that I got the job for the cashier at the Goodwill. So I'm like, okay, I want the Goodwill, I really want. And then I like the name. I was thinking Goodwill, I can be Goodwill, be like Goodwill toward men, not men in general, but, to people. Yeah. So anyway, I took that job at Goodwill, and I started there in 2009, because I left April, May, June, July. I may have started in August. No, I may have started sooner than that. Okay, I'm not quite sure what month, but it was in 2000. It may have, I'm not sure. I'm not even going to say. I just know it was in 2009, I believe. So I went to work at Goodwill. And while I was working at Goodwill, it was good because I was able to, get stuff for my family. I mean, a lot of our house was, I'm not going to say furnished, not furnished, but I'm like some of the trinkets and stuff, practically all my wardrobe, you know, and no, I'm not ashamed to say it because, you know, there was some good stuff coming in there. But yeah, Goodwill was good. But then as time, you know, went by, I just wasn't, you know, feeling 100% fulfilled there, but I continued to stay there. While I was there, I was, you know, I put my all into it. As a matter of fact, whatever job I'm at, I'm going to give it my best, because I've always had this mentality of, you know, I don't work to please men, I work to please my Lord and Savior. And he's looking down at me, not, I don't, you know, yeah. So my work ethic is only good because of what I'm working for and towards, you know, giving it back to the Lord. So, like I said, I wasn't just, I was there and I was, you know, but I was just like something, there was a void. There was some void there. So, I believe, I wanted to say somehow I had this feeling, but it was the Lord that put this in my spirit, my heart, to go into nursing. And if you had mentioned nursing to me back in the day, I mean, I've been like, you know, because that's just wasn't my forte. You know, I didn't want to be seeing blood. I didn't, you know, it was hard enough for me to drive by a dead animal in the street and be able to eat for a day or two. I know y'all probably think I was gonna say a week, but yeah, it didn't affect me that much. But anyway, so yeah, nursing was just like, so I knew it had to be God that put it in me, because it wasn't something that I would have, you know, birthed out on my own, because it's not a desire that I had. But at this time, I believe, because I was trying to figure out what to do, I asked God to, you know, let his will be done in my life. And so that's what kept coming to me. And so I mentioned it. As a matter of fact, my husband even mentioned it sometime before it finally came to me doing something about it. And I was like, And so when it finally come to doing something about it, he was probably like, well, I told you, you know, back then, but back then I wasn't feeling it. But now God has put it in me. So it's like, I'm feeling it, because that's what the desire God put in me. So now I want to do nursing. And the desire that was driving me also was the fact that, because when I was sick in the hospital back in 2000, and people came and, you know, tended to me, took part in my care to get me better, make me well, had to do things for me, because with this sickness that I had, you know, I was not able to do anything for myself. Yeah, it just, yeah, I wasn't able. And like I said, I'll talk about that in another video, but you can look it up. It's Guillain-Barré syndrome. But anyway, so I wanted to give back, because what was given to me. So God put the desire in me, and with that desire, I started having thoughts and thinking about, oh, yes, I want to do this because I want to give back. And I became passionate about it. I became very passionate, and that was my driving force. And so now I'm going to find, I'm looking for schools. What are we at here? 23 minutes. Ooh, I may have to, yeah, okay. I'm going to try to finish it up in 30, and I do apologize, guys. I didn't mean for it to be this long, but I just wanted to share my story. And I probably could have went by quicker than what I'm doing, but I'm trying to just remember everything so as not to leave out any good details. So now I'm going to, I try to find a school to go to. So I'm looking for different schools to go to, trying to figure out if I'm going to do the college thing or what, a course, you know, even online course. I was, you know, thinking of all that stuff. So I was just going to start out as a nurse assistant. That was my driving force. I wasn't trying to go full speed as RN or anything. And I really still don't have that desire to be an RN. I just wanted to be in the medical field where I could help someone. And if that was just getting my foot in the door as a nursing assistant, that was good enough for me, because my drive was just to help people. So after looking for different places and whatever, I stumbled across, or I should say maybe God led me to it, Elite Medical Academy. I don't even know if they're still around, but that's out of, I think it was Hearst. Yeah, I think it was Hearst. But it was Elite Medical Academy. It was a one month course. Um, and after 1 month course, you certified CNA. You know, if you are, past the little state test that you have to take to get your license. So yeah, I did that month course, and then I passed, and yeah, next thing I know, okay, I'm a certified nurse assistant. I'm like, I now can go get a job as a nurse assistant and do what I really want to do. I'm like, I'm finally walking after all that time I spent at the newspaper. I'm finally walking in where I want to be. I think I'm missing out a part. No, I'm not. So I think, yeah, I know what it is. So, okay, I'm a nurse assistant, but I think I was still, like, I was a nurse assistant, but somehow I was thinking that I was also going to lean towards something that I was familiar with, because there was a position that came open at, for a graphic designer, at TCC at the college. So I went for that interview. The interview went great, but they told me the position, they just got some memo that they've relinquished, the position. It's no longer, it's no longer needed. It's like, it's not like they hired anyone. It was just like they done away with the position. So that may have been what happened before I branched out to, I'm trying to think, I can't quite remember. I'm trying to think, did that happen before I went to the nursing? I'm not sure, but the fact of the matter is, I think what I'm trying to get a point across to you is, although nursing was in me, because God put it in me, I was still trying to hold on to what was familiar to me. Although, when I left the paper, I was ready for the next chapter, but at the same time, the next chapter, maybe I'm still was holding on or wanting to hold on to what was familiar, because I gravitated towards a job that was in graphic design, which is what I had been doing. And so as I went to it, yeah, I want to say this part because this is what I'm trying to get at. I went to that, and the position is no longer available. They said, "Oh, the interview was great, you did good, but the position they don't need it anymore." So bam, that door was shut. And like, okay. So yeah, I think that's what it was. God had put that in me, and although the nursing was there, it was like I felt like I was going to I didn't really want to start work at a nursing home. I wanted to go to a hospital. But upon looking at the experience that you needed to be at a hospital, you had to have a 6-month experience at a hospital to get hired on. Well, I'm thinking, how are you going to have 6 months if you got to get hired on first? But anyway, so I was probably getting frustrated with the nursing thing because, because jobs weren't coming, like, and especially when after I graduated, but after the class was over, they were supposed to help us get placement at places, but they really didn't. And so maybe I think I was at a point where I was like, well, I'm going to just go back or be where I'm familiar with. So as I said, I went to that graphics design position job interview, and of course that door got shut. So there was another one, and I went to, okay, yeah, this is good. I went to another one, y'all. And I went in, and everything's going good. And she said, okay, we're just going to sit you at the computer, and we want you to put this ad or something together. So they put stuff, and I was supposed to, in a folder on the computer, and I was supposed to pull it out and construct an ad from it. Something I'm used to doing, something I've done, because that's all I've been doing. I did it for my church. I did brochures. I did wedding invitations. So this is my territory. This is where I'm familiar with. So I was like, okay, yeah, I know the nursing. I got my CNA, but here we go. And the job, it was a little bit more better than the newspaper, because it was a much fancier place, like an advertising agency. It was an advertising agency. So yeah, I go in for the interview, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I got this. I'm sitting down. Let me tell you, I sat at that computer, and you would have thought I never knew a darn thing about graphic design. I kid you not. It's a wonder I even knew how to move the mouse. It was like I couldn't remember anything, and I was getting so frustrated, and I was like, why isn't this stuff coming to me? I do this all the time. I mean, I was having a nervous breakdown. And so I had a certain time to get this done, and they was going to come back and look at it or whatever. So I got a little bit done, but I was like thinking, man, I can't, it's like knowledge left me. It's like it got taken away from me. And I'm like, why is this happening? This is my opportunity. And so after it was over, and she said, okay, we'll be in touch with you. So when I got in the car, you know, my husband came back and got me because he took me to the interview. He said, I told him, I felt like I let him down. But I told him, I said, what happened? And I said, baby, I forgot everything or whatever. And he was like, you know, being supportive. And he said, when you go home, and just send an email and just tell him, look, I got nervous, blah, 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 you know, and I did construct that email or whatever. And she said, yes, I don't remember what she said, but long story short, they had hired someone else. So there's another door shut, and something that I was familiar with, but yet I couldn't do it. So we have the TCC graphic door shut, because that job was no longer, you know, hey, the job position we don't need to fill it because they've done away with that position. Here we have this one at the ad agency. We've already filled it. Because basically you didn't ace the test we put before you. You know, they didn't say that, but that's basically what it was. So I'm like, man, I couldn't understand it until I got hired on where I'm at. Well, I won't say where I'm at now, but in the hospital. Because basically God, he'd already put it in me what he wanted me to do. But I was still wanting to hold on to the familiar. And so every time I went after the familiar, he shut the door. He shut the door. It was kind of like walking. Okay, go this way. Okay, I'm gonna go this way. You know, you're trying to get through. He's like, that's not the path I have for you. That's not where I want you to go. I have a plan for you. I have a purpose for you. I shut that door because I didn't want you to be working in the familiar. I wanted you to step out of your comfort zone. I wanted you to step out of what was familiar, because then you would have been putting it on. It was you. It was you that got the job. When I branched you out into unfamiliar territory, you had to know that it wasn't nobody but me. I hired, and so long I got hired. I say he hired me because basically he did. I got hired at the hospital with only 1 month, if that, experience working. And it wasn't even a month, because I won't say I didn't last at the nursing home. I put my all there, but it was so depressing at that nursing home, and the working conditions were just not good at all. But you know, I did what I had to do there. And I took the job and I did what I had to do there. But then God, you know, when that position came at the hospital, my husband's one sent it to me. And I was like, baby, I don't want to apply for that job. They need at least 6 months experience.